She didn't understand much Chinese, just enough to make her heart freeze. In that moment she caught a single phrase, spoken under breath, so ordinary, yet so dangerous. When he gets in the car, no one will find out. It was quiet, urgent, almost hidden in the noise of the hotel courtyard. But to her, Sophia Liang, it thundered in her mind. She froze in place, blood pounding, mind racing. Was it a misheard fragment? A joke? Part of a conversation she didn't belong to? Her instincts knew better. In that instant, her life split into before and after, and everything depended on what she chose to do next. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Sophia had arrived in the city that morning, full of hope and nerves, stepping into her new role as interpreter for a high-stakes business meeting. She barely had time to steady her nerves when she found herself walking down a dim hallway toward the hotel's service courtyard. Rain whispered against windows. Shadows shifted. She saw the sleek black car waiting. 2 guards lingered by its door, voices low, gesturing. She paused, a few steps back, heart in her throat, listening. Their tones weren't casual. Tension lay between their words. She tolerated the prickling suspicion. Her translator's curiosity, trained over years, nudged her closer. She forced herself to remain calm, to hear clearly, to translate in her head. And when she heard, "When he gets in the car, no one will find out," she recoiled inwardly. For a second she questioned whether she was imagining it. But something inside her snapped. She understood far more than she let on. Time slowed. Her hands trembled. Her mind flashed through possibilities. Is it about a kidnapping? A threat? Was the target the man she was serving? Ethan Cole, the American businessman she was assigned to assist that day? She had only known him a few hours, polite and distant. But already she sensed the gravity of the assignment she'd agreed to. This whisper, murmur in the dark, could unravel everything. Her throat tightened. If she yelled now, she risked drawing attention. If she stayed silent, she risked unthinkable danger. She measured a step forward. The guards continued, unaware of her presence. They spoke of witnesses, of finding out, of deadlines. Her translator's mind raced, connecting fragmented words. She realized this was deliberate. This was the moment the threat became visible. She rushed forward. Footsteps clipped on stone. She called out, voice trembling yet resolute. "Mr. Cole, please, don't get in that car." Time seemed to stretch. The guards froze. Ethan paused, briefcase in hand, door open. He turned, surprised. Rain fell harder as silence descended. Her warning hung in the air like a question that demanded an answer. In the seconds that followed, existence itself paused. Every heartbeat, every breath magnified. And then, the world went dark. 10 hours earlier. The city skyline shimmered in the distance, painted gold by the rising sun. Ethan Cole stood by the window of his penthouse suite, coffee in hand, his reflection merging with the endless towers of Shanghai. To the world, he was the image of success, the American billionaire who turned a garage startup into a global powerhouse. But what no one knew was that beneath that confidence, beneath the crisp suit and calm smile, he was walking into a meeting that would test every ounce of his judgment and trust. In just a few hours, Ethan would sign a deal worth billions, a merger between his company, Titan Dynamics, and a powerful state-backed Chinese corporation. It was supposed to secure his legacy. Instead, it would open the door to betrayal. He believed he was negotiating innovation, but others, behind closed doors, were negotiating his disappearance. Inside the marble corridors of the Grand Meridian Hotel, preparations were already underway. A last-minute change had brought in a new interpreter, Sophia Liang. Her predecessor had fallen unexpectedly ill, and the agency sent Sophia as a replacement. She didn't question the assignment. It was an opportunity too good to refuse. Yet from the moment she arrived, she sensed an uneasy atmosphere. The new bodyguards assigned to Ethan, men she had never seen in company files, moved with precision that felt less like security and more like control. They watched everyone, their movements synchronized. Tattoos, small and identical, peeked from under their sleeves. A serpent coiled around a blade. Something about it made her skin crawl. Ethan, distracted by contracts and meetings, barely noticed. When Sophia mentioned the guard's strange uniformity, he smiled faintly and said, "They're professionals. That's how they work." But even as he said it, his assistant hesitated to meet his eyes. There were signs he didn't want to see. Missing documents from his encrypted briefcase. Late-night messages from his business partner, Chen Wei, that stopped when Ethan entered the room. Sophia caught glimpses. Chen's men whispering in Mandarin, switching to English only when they noticed her nearby. "No changes," one said. "It happens tonight." She pretended not to hear, but her heart recorded every word. Chen Wei had once been Ethan's most trusted ally, a sharp negotiator with an easy charm and impeccable credentials. But Ethan didn't know that Chen had been living two lives. On the surface, a corporate savior. In the shadows, the architect of a financial network funneling billions through shell companies tied to corrupt officials. And when Ethan discovered irregularities in the accounts, he intended to expose them. That decision sealed his fate. Chen couldn't afford for the truth to reach regulators or the press. The plan was simple. Make Ethan disappear quietly during the final stage of negotiations, frame his death as an accident, and take control of Titan Dynamics' intellectual property. The guards assigned to protect him were part of that design. As the day unfolded, the trap tightened. Sophia noticed details others ignored. The guards' synchronized phone alerts, the subtle nods exchanged whenever Chen entered the room. Even the hotel staff seemed unusually tense, glancing toward her and then away. She began jotting small notes inside her translator's notebook. Words, times, fragments. She didn't know why, but she felt compelled to record everything. Just for accuracy, she told herself. But in truth, she was documenting something far more dangerous than a translation. Ethan continued his meetings, unaware that every call he made, every car route he planned was already being monitored. Chen's team had infiltrated his schedule, manipulated his driver, and planted trackers on his devices. A message circulated through encrypted channels. Proceed tonight after the final signing. Ensure no witnesses. And yet, in all that careful planning, one variable had been overlooked. A quiet interpreter who paid attention to details. Sophia's intuition grew heavier with each hour. When she caught one of the guards whispering to another in Mandarin, she recognized a phrase that chilled her. The foreigner doesn't suspect. She looked at Ethan across the table, signing documents that would make him richer or end him. She felt a strange duty rising inside her, an instinct she couldn't explain. Something terrible was being set in motion, and she was the only one seeing the edges of it unfold. The trap was already set. Every phone call, every car route, every moment had been planned. The only thing the conspirators didn't count on was her. That night, long after the meeting ended, Sophia sat alone in her hotel room, heart pounding as she reviewed her notes. Every line, every fragment now formed a shadow of truth. She didn't yet know how deep the danger ran, or how close it already was. But somewhere in that chaos of ink and fear lay the first clues that would later save Ethan Cole's life. Rain streaked down the windshield as Ethan Cole paused beside the waiting black sedan, unaware that in the next few seconds, his world would collapse into chaos. Behind him, Sophia's voice cut through the noise of traffic and thunder. "Mr. Cole, please, don't get in that car." He turned sharply, confusion etched across his face. The guards around him froze. One of them exchanged a quick glance with another. For a heartbeat, the world went silent, thick with uncertainty. Then, a single motion, a guard's hand slipping beneath his coat. Sophia's breath caught. The next instant, the sharp crack of a gunshot shattered the air. Screams echoed through the hotel entrance. Ethan stumbled backward as the bullet grazed the car door beside him, shards of glass spraying across the ground. Two guards bolted into the rain, their footsteps splashing into the distance. The others raised their hands as security swarmed the scene. Ethan was pulled to safety by bystanders as police vehicles screeched into the driveway. Within minutes, the once orderly hotel courtyard became a flood of flashing lights and chaos. Sophia stood trembling, surrounded by officers demanding answers she didn't yet have words for. Her heart raced, her hands cold, her mind spinning with disbelief. She had done what she thought was right, but now she was being treated as a suspect. The guards' radios, the encrypted phones, the missing files, everything pointed to a conspiracy far greater than anyone on that pavement could comprehend. As she sat in the back of a police car, her voice shaking, she repeated the same words. I heard them. I heard them say, when he gets in the car, no one will find out. Ethan, shaken and pale, watched from a distance. His mind replayed the moment, her shout, the flash, the bullet that could have ended him. For the first time, the weight of his choices crushed him. He had dismissed her concerns, brushed off her warnings. Now, the woman he had barely known had risked everything to save his life. As investigators pieced together the fragments, they discovered the evidence Sophia had quietly gathered. Her notes, the phone numbers she'd written down, the time-stamped observations in her notebook. It was enough to trace the plot back to Chen Wei, the man Ethan had once called a brother. Chen was arrested days later, caught attempting to flee the country under a false name. Hidden inside his private accounts were documents proving a complex network of offshore transactions, money laundering, corporate theft, and the contract for Ethan's assassination. The case made international headlines. Chinese and American authorities worked jointly to dismantle the web of corruption surrounding Chen's organization. But for Sophia, the attention brought only danger. Anonymous threats began appearing online. She was moved into witness protection, her identity erased from public records. In her final statement, she said softly, I did what anyone would do if they knew what was coming. Ethan later described her as the bravest person I've ever met, though he would never see her again. In the months that followed, he rebuilt his company from the ground up. The merger was terminated. Titan Dynamics survived. But he was no longer the same man. His trust, once boundless, had become cautious, deliberate. And yet, in quiet moments, he often found himself haunted by that voice. The one that saved him. It took nearly a year to uncover the full extent of the conspiracy. Testimonies, financial records, and hidden communications revealed how deeply Chen's network had infiltrated global business channels. Many of those involved were arrested, but some vanished before authorities arrived. For Ethan, survival carried a new purpose: to honor the courage that had stopped a tragedy before it began. He funded a foundation in Sophia's name to protect corporate whistleblowers and translators working in conflict zones. Because sometimes, he said in an interview, it takes just one person listening to change the outcome of everything. Before we close, think about this. What would you have done if you were in Sophia's position? Would you have spoken up, knowing it could cost you everything? Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Sometimes the smallest sound, a whisper, is the loudest warning you'll ever hear.